Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Cardano and its native token ADA. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. A reminder that if you're wanting to earn interest on your ADA, I would encourage you to go stake it with my stake pool, ITC, into the cryptoverse. So if you want to go earn interest on your ADA, you can do so with the Into the Cryptoverse stake pool. Now, with that said, we should take an inventory on where ADA currently is. After all, is that not why we're here? We have been in the same channel since mid to late February. Late February, really, the last week of February or so, and now we're in the last week of April. So we've been in this channel for about 2 months. And at some point this cycle, I do very much anticipate ADA breaking out and going higher than where it's been currently holding resistance at around $1.50. Okay, at around that $1.50 point, we showed that this was where we spent most of our time. We were able to break out of it, but ultimately our wicks were more or less to the same area, around $1.50 or so. So our accumulation channel for ADA has not yet changed yet. Now, we've also discussed the idea that just because we've been range bound here for 2 months does not necessarily imply that the immediate direction has to be up. Okay, it does not necessarily imply that. What do I mean by that? Well, the fact that ADA has been holding $1.20 or so, or plus or minus 15-20 cents, right? What's a few cents among friends? Despite the fact that it's been doing that, it shows the buying pressure. So it shows that there is demand for ADA above $1, which was very different than what we saw back in 2017 and 2018 when there was very little demand above $1. Okay, but I've often contended, you guys know me, I've been an ADA bull since it was 2 cents, but I always said ADA had no business going to this valuation back in 2017, 2018. We were too far away from, in my opinion, from where we should be at that time, and it was just pure speculation, pure hype. Today, it's still speculation, it's still some hype, but it's not as ridiculous as it was back then. Cardano's a lot closer to having smart contracts, to having people actually, building on top of it and whatnot. So if you're coming into ADA now, one of the most common criticisms I see for Cardano is that no one uses it. But this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like if a company were to allow investors in early and say the company was designing a product and that product allowed you to maybe the company was designing shoes or something, and they were designing some like revolutionary breakthrough in shoes. And then you have investors or people that are not investors that like to just spread fear and whatnot for no good reason. You have these people saying things like, hey, the shoes don't work. But it's like, hey, the shoes are still being developed. And so the idea is, hey, if you don't see the vision, you don't have to buy ADA. If you want to be part of this, this network and watch it grow from the ground up, then it takes speculation, and speculators are going to speculate. There's no free lunch. Of course, we know there's no free lunch. There's no guarantees that ADA accomplishes what we hope it will. But again, as I said when it was back at 2 cents last year and the year before that, as I said back then, you're buying into a vision. And yes, it doesn't exist yet, but that's also why the price was so cheap. I mean, that's why the price was only 2 or 3 cents over here, is because it didn't have that back then. Okay, and you're buying into the speculation. You're speculating that it is going where we think it's going, and that's more or less the reason that I bought ADA back then. It was speculating on where I think it's going, and also the idea of being a hedge against Ethereum. I knew the fee narrative, the fees for Ethereum narrative would happen again, which is it is a considerable concern, right, for a lot of people. You don't want to spend $20 or $30 on a simple transaction. I mean, it is somewhat ridiculous, but again, I think ADA is going to carve out its own niche in the space. And when we look at this area up here, we say, hey guys, look at all this demand for ADA that we've had. Now, of course, we could come down. Of course, we could come down, and that does not negate the fact that we have seen so much demand above $1 for ADA, which is significant considering it was trading for less than 2 cents about a year ago. If you look at this on the weekly time frame, we're just going to pull up our bull market support band. In a bull market, this is always the area that we know at the very least is our downside risk, at the very least. And we're about to get a new weekly close here in a couple hours or so, but currently the bull market support band for ADA ranges from 76 cents up to 84 cents. So we could go to those levels, just like we went to those levels back in September, October, and November, and still pretty much just be on the same course we've been on. Now, the way in which we would go to those levels, obviously, is if Bitcoin continues to have a major pullback. Okay, so if Bitcoin continues to pull back, it's going to be harder and harder for ADA to maintain itself above $1. But despite the fact that that Bitcoin has been pulling back significantly, ADA's valuation against Bitcoin has not really been bleeding so much. Okay, this is another really positive sign that I see for ADA, the fact that Bitcoin has bled by about over 25% or so, and the ADA Bitcoin valuation still looks relatively healthy. It's not all the way back down here or anywhere close to it. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on Bitcoin, and remember too that in the event that Bitcoin goes to the 20-week, if it goes below it, altcoins do not perform well. Okay, so if you are very exposed to ADA, you have to recognize that in this region, altcoins do not generally perform that well. It can often mean there's really great deals on altcoins. It can cause people to buy the dip here, and then they just keep buying the dip because altcoins will dip harder if Bitcoin goes below it. But if Bitcoin bounces, then we know that alts can surge back really, really fast. Okay, so it's all about managing your risk. And remember, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that we have a long ways to go this market cycle, but that it's not the worst thing in the world if the market cools down for a while. We've been saying this for a while. It's not the worst thing in the world if the market needs to take a break, sort of regroup, basically, get out some of the speculators that were probably in over their head and probably putting more into the market that they can afford to lose. So then anytime it pulls back a little bit, there's going to be these guys capitulating, which further compounds the problem. So sometimes in a market, after going up for a very long time, you have to pull back a bit, and you kind of have to see, how things are going to hold up when we see a move back to the downside with Bitcoin. Okay, so a downside move by Bitcoin will assuredly cause ADA to bleed. The ADA Bitcoin valuation looks good so far. ADA Ether has been coming down some. Okay, so, and it's not just because ADA has been coming down, it's because Ether over the last few weeks has been relatively bullish, as we've seen with the Ether Bitcoin valuation. So I would say, and by the way, this was just a random drawing, I have no idea what's going to happen. So by the way, let's take this one step at a time, all right? I think we're still in this for the long haul, and we still have a long ways to go for the market cycle. The way I see this, and you guys know me, I'm very risk averse when it comes to accumulating altcoins. I was accumulating ADA below 10 cents for a long time. So basically in this regime right here, in this area. And then it came up here, I stopped buying, I bought more over here, and I even kept buying over here up until early January. Haven't bought ADA since then. But in the event of a major pullback, it would cause me to really want to start loading back up again. So right now we're still doing relatively well. I mean, the price of ADA is still over $1, which seems somewhat ridiculous when the price of ADA in February was 34 cents. Let me say that again in case you did not hear me. The price of ADA in February at the low hit 33 cents. In fact, in February, that was 2 months ago. 2 months ago, the price of ADA, I mean, it's almost 3 months ago now, the price of ADA was 33 cents. It's now at over $1.06. It shows you how quickly the market can change. And then if it does come back down, if it does, which we don't even know if it will, but if it does, it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad, and it just shows you. It just shows you how quickly sentiment can change, and why it makes all the difference in the world to be accumulating these assets at lower prices. So what I would say is, if you find yourself as having started accumulating ADA up here, I don't think you're going to be in that much trouble in the long term, okay? In the long term. And you could be bailed out in the short term. But I would say that there's various phases of the cycle where it can take persistence, diligence, discipline to stay focused, and to remember that we're not here for a quick, complete cashing out in 1 or 2 months. We're here for the long haul. And remember, if you're in it for the long haul like me, there's really no good reason, in my opinion, that you should not be earning interest on your ADA, and I would suggest doing that with the ITC stake pool. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I think ADA has a bright future. Of course, we're going to see pullbacks from time to time. Not the worst thing in the world. I think it just gives people another opportunity to load back up if, in fact, they want to jump on the journey that ADA is taking this market cycle, which I do think will take its market capitalization to several $100 billion. And so I think we're still a long ways away from that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to check out the Telegram channel in the description below. Subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Remember, we have the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. Whole lot of content there. Make sure you guys check it out. Intothecryptoverse.com. You can pay with crypto and get a discount. ADA is still in the same range. Nothing has changed so far between $1 and $1.50. If we bleed back down, I think it presents an opportunity. If we go up, hey, we still have a lot of our ADA. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.